Am I the a-hole for cutting my parents off financially to stop my brother from proposing at my wedding?
I'm back. That is correct. At the time of this recording, I am officially back from Italy. I am back, I am bronzed, and I am desperately fighting with jet lag. I thought people were exaggerating about the whole jet lag thing. Turns out it's very real. And to everyone who followed me on Instagram to follow the behind the scenes of the trip, I had so much fun chatting with you guys along the way, especially when I was awake for like 37 hours and I was bored because I couldn't sleep. So I just talked to you guys. It was so much fun. Also, we don't have our hood fan yet. See this beautiful cord? We're waiting. And my dishes. That's nice. Yeah. Real life stuff right here.
This story was first posted February 2nd, 2022. I, 27 male, will start off by saying my wedding is scheduled for April because my fiance, 25 female, has always dreamed of a spring wedding. And I really like the idea too. I have an older brother who is 30 male, and last Saturday I was called over to my parents' house to talk about something. But they refused to tell me what until I got there. That's so annoying though. I hate when people are like, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you till later. No, because my mind is going to obsess over that and come up with 9 million different things that it could be until you tell me what it is. They then sat me down with my brother and told me that my brother wants to use my wedding as the perfect day for him to propose to his girlfriend. I was instantly mad and told them absolutely not, but they ganged up on me. I ended up so enraged to the point that I, one man, somehow backed all three of them into a corner. I told them that if they want to do this, then not only will they be uninvited, but I will also cut off the financial support I've been giving monthly since they paid to have my golden child brother to go through college by taking out a second mortgage. I landed a decently high-paying job and I've been sending $500 to my parents monthly to help ease their mortgage. And I didn't ask for a stake in the ownership of the house either. It was entirely out of goodwill. And I can cut it off anytime. I left without speaking any more to any of them, but my brother came to my home the next day to yell at me that I ruined his big chance because now our parents are siding with me and say that they will evict him if he tries to propose at my wedding. I just don't understand why he can't propose literally any other day of the entire year. Any other 364 other options. He said I was financially blackmailing our parents and that he just wanted a good chance to propose because he was afraid his girlfriend might leave him soon. I said that was his problem, not mine, because my wedding day is not about him. And if he tries to propose at my wedding, I will have him thrown out. And that's not a maybe, but a definite. And I doubt his girlfriend would appreciate her proposal followed up with being tossed out by a bouncer. He yelled a few choice words at me, then went crying to our only surviving grandparent, our maternal grandmother. And she called me to try and ream me out over the phone. No surprise, my brother heavily embellished the version of the story he told her, but she still sided with him after I gave her the real story. She tried to hold her ground, but the verbal backlash I ended up giving her left her crying. That got back to my parents, who are now pissed at me for taking this too far. But I told them I only went that far because I had to when they were all trying to get me to let my brother to use my wedding as his springboard for a proposal. They ended up agreeing with me, but still stated that they feel I'm crass. And my brother showed up at my home again to scream at me like I'm the a-hole, and I hope I'm happy with myself for not allowing him the opportunity. I thought I was entirely in the right at first, but maybe I really did take it too far with my brother. So I thought I would come here to ask for an impartial ruling. Now there's an edit to this original post. My fiance knows what my brother tried to do and she's very angry about it. She's almost ready to have him uninvited if he pursues this any further. Also, I won't justify making my grandmother cry. Normally I have a very mild temper, but when it comes to certain people like my brother, parents, and grandmother, I can easily get short with them because of the past favoritism. My grandmother especially. She always sided with my brother and believed his lies no matter what he did. She's the biggest reason my parents favored my brother too. She kept trying to convince me over the phone to let my brother propose at my wedding that I ended up just losing it on her. And for those wondering why I've been sending my parents money, well, about a year ago, they were on the verge of losing their house because of extra debt that they took on paying for my brother's college college 10 years ago. They were too prideful to ask me for help, but I didn't want them to end up losing their home. I personally don't want the house in the future, but I want my parents to be able to keep their home. We have a plan for me to continue payments till I'm 30, and I have sent them to a financial advisor to help them get things settled. Yes, my brother dropped out of college, but a few years later, he got an online college degree and barely passed to get it. I have no issue with online college. However, after what my parents spent on him, it feels like a stick to the eye that he did that. But the online college degree got him a better job. We have an update, and this came 12 days later on February 14th. Is that Valentine's Day? Yes. It's the 14th. Why am I second guessing when Valentine's Day is? 14th, not the 13th. I ended up speaking with my brother again, and I threatened to tell his girlfriend if he was still intending to propose at my wedding without permission. He took it poorly and called me an awful person. So I pointed out that my wedding isn't about him. Our parents were there for this and they backed me up. I think my brother did a double take when they did that. My dad pointed out that he raised my brother wrong and that was on him. So from now on, my brother was to show them respect, and they wanted to get an official leash drawn up for him to pay proper rent and utilities. He was only paying them $300 a month without contributing to any utilities or food. And if he doesn't want to pay, he can move out and they will rent his room to someone else. How does this proposal at your wedding turn to now your brother has to pay rent? Oh boy, this just keeps getting messier and off topic. My brother turned to our mom for help, but she just agreed with dad. He looked like he was having a conniption and then left the house. He came back a couple hours later, but spoke to no one and locked himself in his room. 2 days later, my brother announced he was moving in with my grandma because she invited him. And our parents basically told him that if he wants to live with her, then go ahead. My brother responded to this by saying we all hate him for just wanting to propose to his girlfriend. My parents pointed out that it's not that he wanted to propose, but where he wanted to do it. And he would get no support for it. He's refusing to talk to our parents now, and my grandmother did try to call me again. But it ended up with me telling her that my brother will not be allowed to propose at my wedding, plain and simple. So he can get over it or not come. And the same goes for her. I ended up calling her out on the favoritism towards my brother since we were kids, which she tried to deny at first but couldn't keep doing so because of how much I had pointed out. You brought the evidence, the facts. She ended up crying again while I told her that if she keeps trying to insist on this, then she won't be coming to my wedding. She begged me not to rescind her invite, but still said she doesn't understand why I couldn't let my brother have his way before ending the call. It's blowing my mind that she does not see some kind of issue with this. My fiance is 100% on my side and is fully ready to remove my brother and grandmother from the wedding. My grandmother hasn't called again, and she's not talking to my parents either. My guess is my brother went crying to her again to tell her mommy and daddy weren't enabling him anymore. So she offered for him to move in with her, but there's literally nothing she can do to sway me, and I think my last conversation with her made her realize that. I don't wish to tell my brother's girlfriend, but she called me up on a Saturday about my Reddit post. We weren't anonymous enough, were we? She saw it read in an online video. Wasn't me. That was back in 2022. Wasn't me. And then realized it might be with the way I described my brother and grandmother. So yeah, now she knows. She ended up tearing my brother a new a-hole, and he tried to justify himself to her. That's when she told him they were through and cut all contact with him. So she's mad that he wanted to propose on your wedding day? Oh no. My brother, of course, blamed me, even though his girlfriend said that she's been ready to leave him for a while now, and if he tried to propose, no matter where, she would have told him no. So that's it. My brother showed up at my place one more time to have a fit and said that he is boycotting my wedding. He actually thought he had leverage and he and grandma won't go. I said I wouldn't miss him and that he's in his 30s now and he needs to grow up. Our parents have cut the umbilical cord and are no longer supporting him. And they're already repainting his room to rent it to somebody else. And they plan on renting out my old bedroom as well because they need the money after the financial hole he left them in after dropping out of college. Just to mooch off them for a while and then get a degree with online college later, and then barely paying any rent while also making them pay for his food and utilities despite having a good paying job. They spent the world on him, and he wasn't the least bit grateful. That made my brother just shut down and leave, and since then, we've not heard a peep out of him. Edit. Yes, I have very good security hired for the wedding, and they will toss my brother out like bouncers in a heartbeat. Really curious where this is going. Are they gonna show up at the wedding? I have a feeling the brother might show up at the wedding. It's possible. It's possible. Let's hop on hydration station because I'm thirsty, truth be told. Cheers, let me know what's in your cup. But you should drink some water. I need to drink more water, truthfully. The jet lag is quite literally killing me. Look at how cute these pearls are, and you can't even see them, but I have cute little pearls on my sleeves. I don't think they're showing up with the lighting though. What a shame. What a wasted shirt. The next update came 3 days later. Well, my brother and grandma are officially uninvited from my upcoming wedding. Not surprised. My grandma called me again to berate me even more for refusing to let my brother propose. Apparently, he's beside himself with grief over his now ex. My parents are actually doing so much better since my brother moved out. They've got 2 rooms ready to rent out and on the market, and they are waiting for a tenant. My dad is also working on clearing out the attic to make another room up there for someone to rent. They're basically turning as many rooms in their house as they can into livable space. They're gonna need that rent money to pay off their debts. And they're still thanking me a lot for helping them with the money that I am sending monthly. Your brother should be sending them a monthly payment. In my opinion, my parents sat me down a while ago and apologized heavily for everything that went on in my childhood until now. They said they can offer no good excuse as to why my brother was the favorite when they shouldn't have been playing favorites at all. I don't care what anyone says, parents have favorites, and so do teachers. And I am not my parents' favorite. And I know that, and that's okay. You just gotta be honest sometimes with yourself. And that what they did was completely unacceptable, and the fact that I was still willing to help them out, even after everything they've done, made them realize how horrible they were as parents. And from now on, they'll do their best to be better people. They've basically stopped caring about what my brother and my grandma think too. They haven't been talking to them either. I haven't heard anything from my brother's ex. She wants nothing more to do with my family, and I don't blame her. My fiance is super happy about me standing my ground because she wanted my brother and grandmother out much sooner. Then she admitted something to me that I never knew. Apparently, the few times that she was alone with my grandma, she was told all sorts of lies about me that my fiance never once believes, but she couldn't recall much. Yeah, your grandma seems to not like you very much. I say that with all due respect. Why is she so pro brother proposing at your wedding and screw your wedding day and what you want? I don't know. Favoritism thing is very heightened in this story if it's the truth. Next update came 8 days later, March 8th. Well, my brother came pounding on my front door again a few days ago, and this time he was drunk. He drunkenly told me that he found out about my Reddit post because he tried to get back together with his ex, and she told him how she found out what he was planning. So his dumbass thought it'd be a good idea to get wasted and then confront me. He even vomited on my porch step and then did something I did not see coming. He curled up on the ground crying. I figured he was going to attack me or something because he was acting so deranged. But instead, he got in some sort of fetal position and cried in the grass while blaming me for his problems in between swigs from the bottle that he was carrying. From what I could get out of him, he recently went to see his ex and begged her to take him back, but she told him that he was a man-child and that she would never want to marry him, and then explained how she knew that he was planning on proposing. He went home and searched online till he found my Reddit posts and he read them. He went through all of the comments on my prior posts, and when he realized next to nobody saw things from his point of view, he broke his computer monitor and started pounding a bottle of vodka while walking over to my home since I only live a couple miles from my grandma's house. Ugh, just straight vodka? Nail polish remover. Quite literally, I would rather drink nail polish remover. I like vodka, but I'm a vodka water girl. If anything, with some lemon in it, straight vodka, whew, that burns. While he was sitting on the ground, he was drunkenly cussing at me, saying it's my fault that everyone but Grandma hates him now. I had no sympathy, and I told him that he did all of that to himself. Sure, I aired our dirty laundry online by telling everyone, but he was still the entitled jerk who never really grew up and goes crying to Granny like a spoiled brat when he doesn't get his way. Time to grow up and man up. He called me a few more things that I could barely understand and then pretty much stopped talking to just sit there and keep drinking and crying. I ended up taking away what was left of the bottle of vodka and said that maybe when he's sober, he can have some more common sense. Then I called for a taxi to take him home. I wasn't about to drive to Grandma's house because I didn't want to see her or be anywhere near her. My brother didn't even thank me for calling or paying for the taxi, just flopped himself into the back seat and told the driver to get going. I got a call the next day from the taxi service stating that my brother had vomited multiple times all over the back seat in the short time that he was in the cab. And it took $200 to thoroughly clean it because it was everywhere. I apologized and I mailed them a check for their trouble. That's one thing I could never handle as a taxi driver or an Uber driver because I've seen it happen where people throw up. Drunk people. I ain't cleaning that. Oh, no way. Next update, we are at March 7th, which was 2 days later. I knew it, I just knew it, and some of you called it. My grandma couldn't leave things alone. She and my brother were already both uninvited for my upcoming wedding and borderline ghosted. But now she's gone and made a huge scene about it. She took my brother over to my parents' house to show them my Reddit posts. The thing is, my parents already knew about it and have read them because I admitted it to them after my brother drunkenly came to my house to yell at me. And my parents no longer care because the situation opened their eyes some time ago. I wasn't there to see it, but my grandma laid it on thick to my parents about how she's been thoroughly humiliated by me and that she didn't understand why I would do this over something so trivial as my brother proposing at my upcoming wedding. Well, this next part I never expected. My mom finally lost it on my grandma about how she's a narcissist and how her influence made her and my dad seem like ones too. And they were idiots to let it happen. They then told grandma and my brother that the whole wanting to propose at my wedding was a completely stupid and selfish idea. Thank you. And then reiterated reasons that I've stated as to why, with it likely being my brother wanting to put his ex on the spot in front of the whole family. Then my parents told them both to get out. I don't understand what was just said, but I read it how it was written. Maybe it's just me, but you guys let me know if you would be okay with your sibling proposing at your wedding and then throwing a fit if you said no. Like, how are you handling this? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Would you want your sibling proposing at your wedding? Maybe you guys would. Maybe you would. My brother was especially admonished because he used them as a veritable ATM for years and barely contributed financially after landing a good job. Grandma, I'm told, left in hysterics, and my brother was silent most of the time. The next part is from my own experience as my grandma called me again to yell at me. I let her have her rant while my fiance and I just let the phone sit on the coffee table while on speaker mode. After a while, Grandma realized I wasn't saying anything back and yelled at me to speak to her. Grandma yelled that she was pissed I am getting married before my brother. She wanted to see him get married first because he's older and her favorite grandson. And she believed the least I could do was let my brother try to save his relationship by proposing at my wedding. Ex-girlfriend already said that she would have said no matter what. So I don't think proposing is saving this relationship by any means. I said that I wasn't trying to save a relationship, that I was trying to trap that poor woman in one by hoping she wouldn't say no in front of a crowd. But I've already spoken to my brother's ex before she cut contact with all of us, and I know for certain she would have said no to him anyway. And she had been ready to break up with him for months. I doubt the relationship would have even lasted long enough to make it to my wedding. And then the phone hung up, either by him or her, I don't know. But I think it's fair to say I really verbally tore Grandma apart this time. Much more than I ever had before, and yes, this time I finally blocked her number and my brother's too. You would think that could be the end of the story, but it's not. We got some more updates, and this one came 7 weeks later, April 25th, which is when the wedding is supposed to be. So, well, it's been a ride. So I thought it was best to wait till I'm married and settled in after my honeymoon to speak to everyone. Firstly, I want to say that I don't know crap about my taxes other than how I pay them. But someone here questioned how I could write off the money that I was giving to my parents monthly for their mortgage. And honestly, I thought I could. But a person who actually does taxes contacted me and said that wasn't possible, or at the very least shouldn't be possible since I don't have partial ownership of the house. And that made me curious that I may be breaking the law. Well, I looked into it, and long story short, the person who was doing my taxes before no longer is. What an interesting piece added to this story. Since my last post, my parents have also managed to rent out both of their spare rooms. My parents say they're pretty good tenants, so we'll see how everything goes. Now onto the period before my wedding. Well, my grandma went mental. Apparently, after I told her off on the phone about a month ago, she went off her rocker even further and actually lashed out at my brother, which is something I thought she would never do with how much she loves and enables him. After about a week, a neighbor heard all the commotion and ended up going to check on her, and she attacked him over it. Police were called and took grandma into custody for a psych hold, and she tried to attack one of the officers as well. And she's a frail little old lady with false teeth. Not a lot she can do to one of them. My parents went in to see her, but visitors weren't permitted until the 3 days were over. And when they were, my parents met with her and told her that she was hamming it up, playing the victim, and trying to get my parents back on her side. My mother said grandma was still blaming me and also saying that she still had a right to be at my wedding. Well, my mother let her have it by saying that she lost that right after everything she said and did. All the lies and gaslighting and being mad at me for something as petty as getting married before my man-child older brother that she outright said was her favorite grandson. Crazy. Next is my wedding. Yes, I did have security there, and yes, my grandma did show up and tried to get in. My brother wasn't with her, but she drove 200 miles herself just to try and get into my wedding. She showed up acting sweet, but then turned into a crazy bitch when the guard refused her entry. She screamed out my name and demanded to be let in. And she refused to leave till she spoke to me. Until security threatened the police, she ended up screaming at him and then waddling back to her car, and that was it for that. But that is not the end of the story. Oh no, because now that the only person still talking to grandma was my older brother, I guess she started taking things out on him. No family scapegoats left for her to yell at, so she started going crazy on my brother since he was under her roof now. I know this because he sent me a letter, since I have him blocked and everything, but for snail mail. I got the letter after coming back from my honeymoon. It was a letter with a mix of apologies and blaming me. He said he was sorry for wanting to propose at my wedding and sees how crummy it would have been to try that, and that I was right about him being underhanded in trying to ask his ex to marry him in front of so many people. But then he said he was angry that he didn't get to go to my wedding because I couldn't overlook his traumas. Then he said he was sorry for letting grandma treat me the way she did for so long because now he is getting some of that himself. Then blamed me for getting grandma so worked up in the first place over yelling at her and not letting her into my wedding. Then went on to blame me for our parents kicking him out of the house and being stuck with grandma because she's driving him up the wall. They didn't kick him out. He left when they wanted him to pay rent properly. So now he's apartment hunting, and he did apparently ask my parents to move back in with them, but they outright refused and told him to get his own place, and that's about it. And on a side note, my brother's ex-girlfriend still has not reached out or spoken to anyone in my family since she last spoke with me. Shock! We have another update, and this came 1 year later. Did these brothers make amends? Let's find out. This one was February 13th, 2023. At first, my brother and grandmother only got worse. My grandmother turned into a crying wail again when my brother told her that he was moving out. Then he had the gall to ask for mine and my parents' help to move his stuff because grandma was saying she wouldn't let him leave. But our parents just reminded him of the stuff he had done to end in his current situation. And rather than act like a rational human being, he decided to do just the opposite. He refused to leave our parents' house that night and stayed curled up on the couch with a bottle of booze until the next day, in which he was kicked out by my parents with a raging hangover. Our father told him he needed to apologize to me face to face and that they'll no longer consider him their son if he doesn't. It took my brother a couple days, but he showed up at my place with a piece of paper in hand and read out an apology that he had pre-written. He said he was sorry for everything that he's done. He's been a crappy person and an even worse brother. He looked for any way he possibly could in his own head to make me the bad guy. But the excuses just aren't there anymore. As for my grandma, she did try to keep my brother from moving out, and she refused to let the movers that he hired inside. He had to get the help of a police officer to keep her at bay. They only had to move out 1 room's worth of stuff, and with the movers and my brother working at it, they got all of his stuff out in a record time. My grandma ended up threatening to unalive herself while he was leaving. Oh, or so my brother said. But I'm pretty sure that was the exact truth because she did actually try, but in the most attention-seeking way possible. She took a bunch of pills and then called 911 on herself. They then took her to the hospital and got her stomach pumped. Okay, but we don't wish that upon grandma no matter what. No. That makes me sad. My parents ended up getting APS involved as grandma ended up on another psych hold, only this time in a hospital bed. During her stay, they did several tests on her because she avoided doctors for years, and she was found to be in bad health. Her kidney function was low, her lungs weren't in very good shape, and she was at heavy risk of diabetes. So grandma had to be put in a care facility for her own health and safety. She had been breathing trouble for some time, but somehow hid it from us all. Doctors found that she needed to be put on oxygen and that she can't live alone anymore. She wanted my brother to come back and become her full-time caregiver, but he refused and said that he just can't. He's got his own life to live and he's got a lot to make up for with the rest of us. Well, my grandma went crazy crying and throwing things in the hospital while screaming at us to all get out. After she was out of the hospital, my parents worked to have grandma put in a care home. They moved a few of her personal belongings into a room to try and make her feel comfortable, but that really didn't do much of anything. They had to put her on close observation 24/7, which only made her even more miserable. Each time we saw her, she begged us and even begged me to take her out of that place. She missed her home and she missed her old life, but she wasn't going anywhere because she was considered a danger to herself. Well, eventually she just seemed to accept her fate and that she would spend the rest of her life living in the care home. And my grandma pretty much just shut down. She became that bitter old woman that hardly talks to anyone. We paid her regular visits, but she was never happy to see us, me especially, and the months just blurred together with this routine. Things seemed to change a little when we told her that my wife was pregnant, and she perked up at that. Then some time ago, we found out grandma had a stroke in her sleep and passed away. That's sad. My brother is showing some genuine improvement. He applied for therapy last year to try and better understand himself and to make a better effort to change. For now, he's trying to help out our father with remodeling the attic in his spare time, and things are still awkward between us anytime that we see each other. As for grandma's estate, well, her will was surprisingly fair. We were all certain that my brother would get everything since he was her favorite, but instead my parents got her house and they are working to get it ready to be rented out. The rest of grandma's money and assets were pretty evenly distributed. Well, mostly. I didn't get much, but I didn't want anything either. I'm doing fine. I didn't need it. I guess that concludes everything. Well then, that was definitely more than just your brother not proposing at your wedding. Yeah, I forgot that was where the story originated, to be honest. So much more went on. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.